Welcome to TheraTea, where we spill the tea on therapy, mental health, feelings, and everything in between. I'm your host, Dr. Sonya D. Grab a cup of tea and take a sip. Today, we're revisiting the tea that was too hot to sip on last week, toxic attractions. Okay, I'm not the one to gossip, but I'm about to spill this TheraTea. You ever sit back, look at your life, and think, how did I end up here again? Different person, same nonsense. If you ever felt like you're a magnet for toxic people, whether it's friendships, relationships, or even work situations, then baby, grab your tea, because we're about to unpack why this keeps happening. Let's play a little game called Where Have I Seen This Before? The law of attraction teaches that you attract what you focus on, believe, and expect, whether consciously or subconsciously. But biblically, we're also taught that what's in our heart manifests in our lives. So, your spirit introduces you before you even say a word. Your subconscious beliefs shape what you tolerate, what you ignore, and what you keep allowing in your life. Let me spill some tea. Story time. I had a friend, let's call her Tina, who dated the same emotionally unavailable man over and over. Different names, same situation. Ghosting, ignoring, breadcrumbing, and giving her just enough to keep her hooked. Showing up when they felt like it. And every time she'd be like, Sonya, I don't get it. Why can't I meet a good man? My response, friend, what type of man are you attracting, entertaining, and ignoring? So why am I always dating emotionally unavailable people? Maybe your parents or caregivers are always working or didn't express emotions. So now you chase emotionally distant people, thinking this time they'll choose you and one day show up for you the way you want them to. Friend, it's not your job to make someone show up for you. Example 2. Why do I attract fixer-uppers? You meet someone and they're a hot mess, but you're like, I can help them. Sweetheart, you're not Home Depot. It's not your job to fix nobody. If someone can't show up whole, that's not your soulmate. That's a project. Example 3. Why do I attract controlling partners? Maybe you grew up in a strict home where love was conditional. So now, when someone tries to control you, you mistake it for care. Newsflash. Love without freedom is not love. It's a hostage situation, and unless you have some more on speed dial, SWAT ain't coming. The law of attraction lesson. If your belief is love is inconsistent, love is something you have to work for, you'll keep attracting the partners who make you prove your worth. The Bible teaches in Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. That means if you don't renew your mind about love, about your worth, and about what you deserve, and choose to not accept anything less, you'll keep repeating your past even when you want something different. Sip on this. If you don't heal, you'll keep manifesting situations that make you relive your unhealed wounds. The cost of letting toxicity in. Let's keep it real. Toxic people don't just mess up your day. They mess up your whole life. You lose trust in yourself. The longer you stay around toxic people, the more they gaslight you into thinking you're the problem. Eventually, you start second-guessing yourself. And unfortunately, you start believing them. Consequence 2, you start accepting the bare minimum. First, it's, oh, they just yelled at me. They were upset. Then it's, they lied, but they said they'll change. Next thing you know, you're in a full-blown toxic cycle, eating crumbs and calling it a meal. Consequence 3, they they drain you of your energy. Have you ever noticed after hanging with certain people, you feel exhausted, like you just worked a double shift? Yeah, that's your soul telling you that they're sucking up all of your energy. And consequence number 4, you put their needs above your own. Now, all right, let's spill some tea on a major cost of a toxic relationship, because all of us have been there. Trying to rationalize why someone treats us poorly? Oh, they had a rough childhood, or they just don't know how to express love. Sound familiar? But where do we draw the line between empathy and enabling? So let's say you're dealing with someone, maybe a partner, a friend, or even a family member who lashes out, shuts down, or treats you like an emotional punching bag. And then when you address it, you start thinking, well, they've been through a lot. Maybe I just need to be a little more patient with them. This is where you enter the danger zone. Because while understanding their past is great, it does not mean we let them dictate how they treat us today. Here's the tea. When we excuse someone's toxic behavior because of their past, we're basically giving them a free pass to continue hurting us. We say, oh, they had trauma, but who hasn't? We all have things we're healing from, but that doesn't mean we get to mistreat others in the process. Making excuses for someone's bad behavior is just codependency in disguise. It keeps us locked into cycles of guilt, over-explaining, and self-sacrifice. And honey, that's not healing. That's betrayal, self-betrayal. There's a difference between compassion and self-destruction. Now, don't get me wrong, compassion is a beautiful thing, but there's a huge difference between saying, I understand why they are the way they are, and saying, I will continue to tolerate. You can hold space for someone's pain without making their pain your problem. This is called boundaries, and boundaries are self-love in action. The bottom line, understanding someone's past is not a contract to endure their present mistreatment. Growth is a two-way street. If they're not actively working on their healing, it's not your job to carry their emotional baggage while they stand there watching. Let's be real. No matter how much we love someone, we can't heal them for them. And if someone refuses to do the work, the kindest thing we can do for them and for ourselves is to step back and let them take responsibility for their own healing. Toxic people are like bad Wi-Fi, always draining you and never living up to the hype of what you're paying for. So disconnect. Part 3, how to break the cycle and attract better. Now that we know what happens, let's talk about how to stop it. Step 1, recognize the triggers. Next time you feel drawn to someone, pause and ask yourself, do I feel safe with them or just familiar? And be honest with yourself. Are you choosing them from a healed place or from your wounds? Like we discussed in our last episode, you can't change what you don't see, and you can't see what you're trying to ignore or make excuses for. Self-awareness is your backstage pass to breaking your toxic attractions. Step 2, set boundaries like your peace depends on it, because it does. And talking about boundaries, let me clear up some misconceptions. Boundaries are not to punish people. They're to protect you. Boundaries are a way to protect your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, a form of self-respect and self-care, a clear communication of what you will and will not accept in your life. Boundaries are your responsibility to set, enforce, and uphold. With that being said, boundaries are not a way to control or change someone else's behavior. They're not a way to punish or get revenge on a person because they didn't do what you wanted. These scenarios aren't boundaries, that's just manipulation. And boundaries are not a demand that people must obey. Listen, a person can choose to not respect your boundaries. That's their prerogative. But when they make this choice, it's your responsibility to set, reinforce, and uphold your boundaries. Boundaries are not a sign that you're being mean or selfish. Boundaries are a sign of self-care. Picture this, the situation. A friend or partner constantly criticizes you, making subtle or outright negative comments about your choices, your appearance, or feelings. If you don't set a boundary, you will eventually internalize their words, feel hurt, and allow their criticism to affect your self-esteem because you don't want to cause conflict. But boundaries in action. Imagine you're at a dinner table with your partner, and they make a passive-aggressive comment about your outfit, saying, "Oh, I didn't think you'd wear something like that." Instead of shrinking or brushing it off, you can say, "I don't appreciate comments like that about my appearance. If you have something constructive to say, please be direct and we can discuss it at a later time. Tonight, we're here to celebrate and have a good time. So that's what I plan to do, because now I won't entertain negativity about how I choose to present myself." If the behavior continues, you may need to reinforce that boundary. Like, "I've already mentioned that I won't accept negative comments about my choices. If this continues, I will remove myself from the situation." This boundary makes it clear what you will not tolerate and what you're willing to do, while still leaving space for healthy communication. In step 3, choose peace over patterns. If you're used to chaos, peace will feel weird at first. You might think it's too easy. Where's the drama? But listen, peace is the new sexy, and stability is the new exciting, so get used to it. So, mini exercise. I want you to start a new normal journey. Write down what a healthy relationship looks like for you, not just romantic, but also with friends and family and work. After you write it down, keep it somewhere visible, and every time you start accepting less, read it. Make that your new normal. So here's a takeaway. Next time you catch yourself saying, "Why do I attract toxic people?" pause and ask yourself, is this the law of attraction working, either on a physical, spiritual, or psychological level? And if so, work on yourself. Because remember, therapy ain't about fixing you because you're not broken. It's about equipping you with the tools to understand yourself, rewrite your patterns, and disconnect from toxic partners. Now, that's the TheraTea, y'all. Sip on it. And before you go, don't forget to follow TheraTea with Sonya D, spill the tea, share the episode with a friend who needs to hear it, and hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Let's keep the conversation going. Until then, I'll be back next time with more real talk, more resources, and of course, more TheraTea. And just like I always say, I'm not the one to gossip, but I'm spilling this tea. The TheraTea.